Off of my right shoulder is a Super Jumbo acoustic guitar. Now, you really can't tell from this distance on this shot that it is a Bromo, B-R-O-M-O, BAN7E, which is Bromo Guitar's answer to the Gibson J200. Now, whereas the Gibson J200 in today's world will retail in that $2,500 to $3,000, plus or minus, depending on the amount of bling and whether it's slightly used or whether it's a new one, the Bromo Super Jumbo is $699.95. If you order it from overseas, it'll take a while. You'll spend a lot of money on shipping. But if you order it from Rondo Music, R-O-N-D-O, in New Hampshire, in New England, they will send it to you with, well, the shipping I paid was like $30, which was amazing. But then again, via UPS, it only takes 3 to 4 days from New Hampshire to Maryland. Now, Bromo Guitars, as far as I know, the only U.S. distributor or retailer right now is Rondo Music, carrying the Bromo line. Bromo guitars are built in Indonesia, actually East Java, and they can see Mount Bromo, which is a volcanic mountain, dormant, hopefully, from the factory. And that's why their logo, which you will see in a second, is in the shape of Mount Bromo. So let's take a closer look of the Bromo BAN7E. This is the Bromo BAN7E that I mentioned. It is a Super Jumbo, which means the lower bout is 17 inches across, the upper bout 12 and a half, 5 inches thick at the lower bout, 4 inches thick at the top. It is a solid spruce top with gorgeous laminated back and sides of maple, flamed maple, beautiful maple trim, 3-piece purfling, abalone trim all the way around the top, abalone fret markers, which are the silhouette of Mount Bromo, the volcanic peak that's near the factory in Indonesia. The headstock has an overlay of the flamed maple, and then it has Mount Bromo and abalone at the top in the shape of Mount Bromo, and then it has a moon with a wolf inside howling at the moon. It has a 5-piece neck, which is maple with 2 strips of ebony. It does have a truss rod. It does have strap buttons. It does have a Fishman undersaddle pickup. There's the door. If I keep this guitar, I wouldn't use the Fishman. I would install a K&K Pure Western Mini because that's my pickup of choice, and I'm a dealer installer. I might leave the undersaddle just to have it, so in case somebody later wants to use it, they could. Now, how can you get a Super Jumbo guitar like this for $699.95? How can they build it like this and be this beautiful? Well, I will tell you where guitar builders, especially the ones overseas, how they can build a guitar at a budget price is, one, the cost of their, service people and builders over there. Their monetary system is different from ours, so they maybe don't get paid as much as we do. And they make the outside of the guitar look terrific. It's where they save money on the inside. Here's a look at the inside. And as you can see, the bracing, although it's structurally sound, they don't take a lot of pains to make sure it's pretty, to sand it and get rid of chips and flakes and things like that. They don't worry so much about glue run out. You might find things like the end block or the heel block where they're not really tight to the top or bottom. They don't necessarily need to be, I guess. That's where they save the money. Because we as guitar players, other than the fact we look in the sound hole when we've lost our pick, we don't usually look inside the guitar. If you also notice, the bracing has some cutouts in it, which saves weight. This has a fairly good amount of weight, but then again, it's a big guitar and it's laminated back and sides, which adds to the weight of the guitar. It actually is a nice guitar. I have no complaints. Did I mention ebony fretboard and bridge, bone nut and saddle, bone pins, 1 3/4 nut width, and 25.5-inch scale length. A nice contoured pick guard, which is reminiscent of, say, the Gibson Hummingbird pick guard. Nice rosette. Nice guitar. Kluson look-alike Bromo vintage tuners, which are just okay. I would replace those if I were going to keep the guitar. Sounds good. Let's listen. So all in all, is it a nice guitar? Yes, for the money. And it comes with a nylon gig bag, which is quality-wise on the lower side of medium quality or on the upper side of low quality. It's fine. If I were to keep this guitar, I would invest in a hard shell case rather than a gig bag. Gig bags are fine if you're going to your buddy's house and you don't want to lug the hard shell case. Just put it in the gig bag, throw it on your shoulder, and off you go, and you come home, put it back in the case. But not for storage because they're not climatized. If your house is dry, no matter, I don't care if you put a damper in it or whatever to keep the relative humidity up, the room doesn't have the high humidity, so it's just going to dry out, whereas a case protects it better. Nice guitar, good intonation, good tuning, good sound. It doesn't have a ton of low end, but then again, neither does the Gibson J200. It gets its low end from the size of the body. And maple guitars are what I call a clear sound. They don't have a lot of overtones. They're nice in a recording studio because they don't get in the way. They respond to whatever the guitar player puts into it rather than the guitar having its own voice, and you have to kind of play around it. So I think it's a great guitar for the money. Now, would I rather have a Gibson J200? Yes. Do I have $2,500 to $3,000 to buy one? No. So this will suffice for the time being. I will need to correct some things because the fret ends, well, the guitar was a little dry when it arrived from Rondo Music in New Hampshire, which is the sole distributor in the United States. The fret ends were very sharp, a lot of buzzing. It has recovered somewhat since I've been keeping that relative humidity up to around 50% in a little over a week. Fret ends are much smoother now. The buzzing's not as bad, but it is in bad need of a setup to make sure it plays optimally. So, other than that, if you want a Super Jumbo for a budget price, this might be the one. Just be conscious of the fact that you may have to spend anywhere from $80 to say $200 to have it set up the way you like to play with your string gauge, your tuning, and everything. But you have to do that with pretty much any guitar. So, thanks so much. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And if I don't talk to you before, but I'm sure I will, Merry Christmas to you, Happy Hanukkah, and whatever other holidays are coming up. Thanks so much for watching, by the way. I really do appreciate it. I have fun making these things. As you can tell, they're non-scripted because I just run at the mouth, but I have a whole lot of fun. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.